Hello and welcome to another Sunday Million highlight show from POKERSTARS.tv. This one from the 11th of December, a smidge under 7,000 runners and a smidge under a $1.4 million prize pool. It's Christmas, sort of. Deck the halls with boughs of massive tournament guarantees as part of the POKERSTARS 10th anniversary celebration. More details about those as we go through. But for now, here are the runners and riders for the final table of this week's Million. JJ at Mess is your chip leader from the Czech Republic. Already a big week for the Czech Republic poker scene. Sunday Storm was won by a Czech Republic player, and Kozlik X pocketed the 72 billionth hand bonus. Imagine when PokerStars started 10 years ago, the idea of there being 72 billion hands. Quite amazing. Let's get into the action then. This is hand number 8, and Sarah 22 from Poland will open things up with kings. A shove, which is exactly what she wanted to see from Perovka in Ireland. Pretty standard stuff with the nines, just a little bit unlucky. Well, super unlucky to run into a hand this big. But 80+% of the time, this one's over for Perovka. Nice flop for the kings. No draws or anything of that nature. So Perovka just a 9 to hit on the river. Or this one goes into the books as a Sarah win. Perovka hits the rail in 9th spot. Just under $11,000. Great run through the tournament. And we're quickly 8-handed. Everyone's got ace-queen suited. Okay, just check, not everyone, but JJ and Balaganov. Do it your way at home, it's fine. From the Ukraine, flat calls with the ace-queen. Got about, well, not a huge stack to make that flat call. And that'll allow Jan Fried to come in with the 9. Slightly surprised one of those two players didn't re-raise, but we're going to have a 3-way flop. It's kind of interesting because the queen gives a pair to JJ and Balaganov, but not completely straightforward for either of them with that king out there and player or players behind. JJ's going to lead. And what do you do if you're Balaganov here? I'm not quite sure what I do. I guess he flat calls. Well, fold would have been my third option. And Jan Fried can't do anything with the 9s. So, slightly surprising JJ gets that through, but that's what happens and extends his chip lead. On we go. This is hand number 11, and the short-stacked Sligori is all in with the 5s, and an easy call for Jan with the jacks. Things not looking great for Sligori from Brazil. Everybody else is getting out of the way, it looks like. That's what happens, and Jan Fried in good shape to win this one. Sligori is the all-in player. Needs a 5 or some kind of funky flush or straight. Well, those two possibilities look unlikely now. Well, a jack, weirdly, would chop it up here. So jack or a 5, and the 9 means that Jan Fried will complete the knockout. The big hands are holding up so far at the final table. Sligori out in 8th, $16,700 into his coffers. This hand 17. Haven't been messing around on the final table. Already lost 2 players. And still a couple of short stacks. Well, 2 or 3 short stacks to go. So this one could be fast and furious. Sarah will double the big blind with the 8s. And Cafe 162 from New Zealand. Quite extraordinary. I never quite get over the magic of online poker. Cafe's playing New Zealand. Sligori was playing in Brazil. And then several players from Europe all playing for this massive prize. Cafe will shove. I think it's a pretty standard shove with his stack size. Very standard, actually. And Sarah will make an equally standard call, and we're off to the races. A big pot for both players. Really big for Cafe, though, because he's the all-in player. And there's a bingo. Ace on the flop. Looks like this 9 million plus pot will be headed his way. Doesn't matter how good you are, at the end of big tournaments, you've got to win a flip or two, and Cafe's won one there, vaults him into third spot. Hand 25, the final table, still 200,000, 400,000 for your blinds. And I think Lucky Kid is going to have to shove this, or doesn't shove it. That's interesting, kind of makes a small raise. I'm not sure if he's trying to look stronger than he actually is. Or maybe it's just an odd move, I'm not sure. You decide. Well, JJ sees it as weakness and decides to re-raise with ace-9. Blaganov will fold the 5s, which were the best hand. And Lucky Kid's not folding. Was just obviously trying to perhaps look like he had a super strong hand, but wasn't folding when the pressure was applied. And it's a 60-40 shot. JJ can afford to lose this. Lucky Kid can't. And JJ hits his ace. Lucky Kid his king. So things still looking grim for the Australian Lucky Kid. And the only diamond belongs to JJ. Lucky Kid drawing super thin. And it doesn't arrive on the river. So JJ will continue his fantastic run. Still your big chip leader. Lucky Kid's elimination knocks us down to 6 players really quickly at your final table this week. JJ will open with ace-10 offsuit. I have a major problem with ace-10 offsuit. I just want to share it with you. It's just so... It looks like it's something, but it's not. Look at it. It's nothing now. It's useless. It's like a really attractive Christmas cracker. Still rubbish. Into the muck it goes, and Balaganov's 10s will face off against Jan Fried's jacks. Great place. Great spot this for Jan. Balaganov very unlucky to run into a hand this big behind him. Has done nothing wrong here, but is probably going to hit the rail. And that is how it happens. The big hand still holding up. No outdraws of significance at this final table. And Jan Fried will jump into the chip lead. Balaganov out in 6th spot. Leaves us 5-handed. $43,000 for the Ukrainian. And we'll move on. Still the 200,000, 400,000 level. It's been a violent one. A couple of really big stacks now. JJ Mess opening the button and Jan Fried on the big blind. Will just call. Nothing wrong with that. Just some players might have 3-bet there. Who knows? And the flop makes 9-4. The powerhouse. Bottom pair is the nuts. And JJ will bet it. I think he could have just checked that back. I mean, it makes it slightly tricky now with Jan Fried check raising. Although he'll reason that Jan Fried would have check raised 3-bet, a lot of his aces pre-flop. That makes it a lot easier. Actually, would have been a slightly more interesting hand if that 4 hadn't come. But now Jan Fried deciding not to continue the bluff, and JJ knows he has the best hand here. Again, decides to bet. Thinking, I guess he could get 2 streets of value there. Did have an option to check it back, but he'll take it down and resumes the chip lead, which he's had for some time until Jan Fried knocked out a player. Blinds are up, 250, 500,000. This is hand 46 of the final table. And total loser defying his username by locking up over 50,000 already. Shoves the short stack. JJ Atmas has a pretty easy call here. 10 million in the middle means everything to total loser. He'll need to bink something here. No help on the flop. I think we've yet to have a worse hand win a showdown or an all-in. Doesn't look like it's going to happen here. King or a 9 to flip things round, and it doesn't arrive. JJ wins another one. 32 million now. Total loser out in 5th, but $57,000 to the good. That makes him a winner, factually. And we'd love you to be a winner too. And we're going to give you a free shot at getting into the Sunday Million. Our online poker show free roll is coming up. Details of the password later in the show.
You hear the talk, the whispers, the chat room gossip about how unlucky they were to get knocked out and how lucky you were to win the thing. Well, here's all I know about Lady Luck.
All in.
Call. She likes to hang out with the guys who practice the hardest.
At POKERSTARS.com, there's a tournament starting every second. Develop your game at the world's largest poker site.
With four-handed in the million, it's been fast and furious. You'd think things would have to settle down at some point, and we'll see a little bit of poker, but maybe it'll just be this way all the way. Skip forward just a few hands, not too much change. JJ Atmas from the Czech Republic has the lead by 10 million over Jan Fried from Spain. Sarah and Cafe looking to reverse their fortunes at the moment, or maybe looking to jump up a spot. The money jumps do get huge right now, and you could understand them if they waited for the other one to bust. Open raise from JJ and 3-bet from Jan. Two real hands here and two very excited spectators, Cafe and Sarah, desperately hoping these two get into a big confrontation. JJ will just call. Well, that's a pretty good flop for a pair of eights. And Jan Fried will check. Interesting check. Perhaps just doesn't see the point in playing inflated pot. You've got to think that the two short stacks have an effect here. He's not prepared to bully this one through. He is prepared to call a bet, though. JJ bets with the best hand. Jan Fried calls. Turn doesn't change so much, and this is tough for Jan because his hand is really kind of face up after 3-betting, then checking the flop. I think JJ knows where he is in this one. Makes another small bet. It is basically a value bet. Well, Jan Fried is thinking it's not a nice spot. He's probably worried that he's getting bluffed off the best hand here, because he knows that JJ would have seen his flop check as weakness, but it is really tough. Does he really want to play a huge pot here? Does he really want to call this and call the river with the two shorties sitting on the sidelines? He decides against it. JJ had the best hand all the way through, technically, and extends his chip lead. This is hand 58, still the same blind level, and this could be the moment for Cafe 162. Makes a pretty automatic shove. Probably would take a fold there, but he's going to get called by JJ with the ace-10. This time ace-10 offsuit is something. Short stacked it's so different, it probably won't catch, so you watch. It's rubbish. Cafe hoping it doesn't with the 2-8s. Neither player has a diamond here. Just needs to fade the river. See? It's useless. Cafe 162 picks up a vital double up. Fantastic news for him. A lifeline. Bad news for Sarah on the shorter stack. On we go. A huge amount of pressure on these players. I would remind you that they all bought in for $215 and almost certainly their biggest payday, whatever happens now. So imagine being in this situation. There is so much pressure on these decisions. JJ Mess trying to apply the pressure with no real hand on the button. Gets 3-bet by Jan Fried. And JJ isn't automatically folding. He might think this is a good spot to really apply pressure because of the stack situation. Yeah, this is an interesting bet. He's basically asking Jan Fried, if you've got a middle strength hand like he has, like sixes, do you want to risk everything when you're already in second spot? And that's a great read by JJ. That's a read based on the situation and based on the amount of pressure he can apply. You don't always need the cards. Really nice bit of play from JJ. Cafe 162 with ace-10. Suited, though. Very different kettle of fish. Open raises. Big open raise. And an absolute gift for JJ, sitting with the monster pair of queens on the button. He will shove. We know the blinds are going to get out the way, and I think Cafe has to commit himself here. He might not like it. I'm sure he doesn't want to go out this tournament with the big money jumps, but you can't bet that much and then fold, and he does call and gets the bad news that he's a mile behind here and his tournament is on the line. He needs to catch some diamonds or a funky straight or an ace, and that is not a great flop for him. Nice flop for JJ. Huge pot this, 23 million in the middle, would transform this final table. And Cafe 162 looks like he's going to be the loser in it. JJ makes a full house on the river, and Cafe leaves us in third.